What's up, you guys? Today's animated series review is about a nerdy kid who transforms into a hideous green mutant and winds up creating a league of demorphed humans to save their town from pollution, and I'm talking about the TOXIC CRUSADERS. TOXIC CRUSADERS, the animated series, aired in 1991, containing only one season with a total of 13 episodes. Our story begins in a town called TROMOVILLE with our main protagonist named Melvin Junko, who's a janitor at a health club. He's your typical nerdy, unpopular trope of being unlucky and is often bullied by people who undermine his intelligence, to an extent. During a gag to embarrass Melvin by having a bimbo wanting to go out with him, an altercation leads Melvin to land into a barrel of toxic waste which mutates his appearance quite drastically. This allows Melvin to develop superpowers such as the Tromoton quiver, which makes him spaz out in various dances to showcase awareness that evil is taking place, and renames himself as TOXIE. With this responsibility, and to my surprise, TOXIE goes home to his mother knowing she'd freak and kick him out of the house, and you think she'd be terrified, but she actually becomes quite supportive. She winds up becoming his biggest supporter as a law-abiding citizen to help the city of TROMOVILLE from pollution and biohazards from the corrupted Mayor Grody and the main villain Dr. Killimoff, who lives in a smog-infested island called Island City. Aside from this, in order to protect his mother, TOXIE finds a new place to live, which is in the city dump, and establishes a base where he befriends new recruits and allies under the group name the TOXIC CRUSADERS, as these group of heroes will help fight the forces of evil and keep TROMOVILLE clean. So within the TOXIC CRUSADERS you have TOXIE, the leader alongside his super-powered mop, Blobby, TOXIE's pet made of goo, Nozone, a former pilot with the power to sneeze, Major Disaster, a former military soldier who can control plants, Headbanger, a fusion of two characters where one of them is a scientist named Dr. Bender, and the other being Fender, who's a surfer hippie bum. And then there's Junkyard, a humanoid dog who transformed with a homeless man. Then you have other allies like TOXIE's mother aka Mrs. Junko, Yvonne, TOXIE's girlfriend, a terrible singer with her accordion, Snailman, a former race car driver, and the taxicab, their vehicle. As for the villains, you have Dr. Killimoff, a four-armed mutant who wears a breathing apparatus, Psycho, a biomechanical humanoid, Bonehead, a once bully of Melvin but transformed into this gray skeleton or decaying corpse, the Radiation Rangers, a bunch of yellow hazmat suit wearing jobbers who always gets their asses kicked, Mayor Max Grody, the obese Slavic mayor of TROMOVILLE, and Tsar Kosta, the cockroach-like ruler from the planet Smogula. Then you have other villains like General Garbage, Princess Gerba, and the Mower Man. Within these 13 episodes, the basic premise of the show is really simple. The TOXIC CRUSADERS try to stop Dr. Killimoff turning TROMOVILLE into a toxic wasteland by finding numerous ways to pollute it, whether that be creating factories to corrupt the civilians with infected foods, chemicals that mutate weeds into monsters, or fumes that will fill the air, and so on. They eventually become beloved heroes of the town that no one even seems to be scared of their appearances, as the news reporter even accepts it and becomes loved by society. Majority of the time, you can see them at the dump headquarters trying to find odd jobs but failing miserably at it, playing cards, or even just taking a bath together. Because there's not much that goes on, let's quickly go over character highlights as some get origin episodes. For example, the dynamic duo Headbanger are pretty hilarious as they're always bickering with each other. Despite being two individuals at first, we see how they're formed together as Dr. Bender was actually a villain who aided Dr. Killimoff, but later changed his ways to join the TOXIC CRUSADERS once combining with Fender. Not to mention, he's a pretty useful ally inventing different gadgets to save the day. Major Disaster has a brief romance with Emma Oakley, who's an environmentalist, but nothing really happens after that. And then you have backstories that are hilariously shared during some episodes, where the characters ask if there's time for it, and they nonchalantly approve to listen because it helps stall time, allowing Dr. Killimoff to come up with a plan in the meantime. You also have origins like how Junkyard's doghouse was filled with toxic waste and was transformed with a homeless man seeking shelter. Snailman, who's a race car driver, ends up falling off a bridge into a ship full of snails, and the chemicals in there morphed his appearance. He was also asked to join the TOXIC CRUSADERS but declined their request and states that he's better off in the water. The bully Bonehead, who's responsible for turning Melvin into TOXIE, tries to cause more havoc at the dump, but he too gets immersed with acid rain and transforms into a decaying corpse. Then there's Mower Man, who took a nap in the garden shed that had leaked chemicals and becomes this mechanical human combined with gardening equipment. But the real highlight here is the comedy the show offers. It has this type of humor that actually fits in my world of laughter, as many conversations between characters are more random with jokes in between. For example, most episodes contain an intro or narration from TOXIE where he discusses what the viewer can expect in the episode. However, sometimes he goes too deep into providing the synopsis that characters have to remind the TOXIE narrator to let the episodes play out on its own. You also have Dr. Killimov, who gets upset at Psycho, whom not only is quick-witted but oftentimes looks at the camera and tells the viewers the obvious plot of the show, and sometimes even foreshadows how the heroes will win. Dr. Killimov ends up getting pissed and tells him to shut up and not ruin the outcome despite knowing he's right. And then there's moments where whenever someone just says, "Kill him off," he argues with the narrator or even the viewer by saying, "That's Dr. Killimov." You also have instances where characters will mention previous episodes by actually using the term episodes or even acknowledging that it's a TV series, by informing the viewers that there's only 2 minutes left before the show's over during a climax, or referencing music to be cued when needed. To further elaborate, Yvonne, who becomes Toxie's girlfriend, is a horrible singer and is constantly reminded how much she sucks at it, as she frequently breaks glass while everyone covers their ears. In one episode, she does such a high frequency pitch where she actually breaks the TV screen, and the TOXIE narrator apologizes on her behalf to the viewers watching at home. There's also a funny moment where when they're singing their anthem, "We're the TOXIC CRUSADERS," Ozone has this irky behavior that Yvonne isn't technically part of the group because she's still a human. So whenever they sing it, you'll hear him in the background saying, "Except Yvonne," which is hilarious. There's one episode where a potential new recruit named Mr. Earth wants to join the team, but in order to prove himself, he has to show his loyalty. So when doing so, it hilariously becomes the opposite, as everything he tries to do what's right goes wrong. And one of my favorite moments is him helping an elderly by the ATM machine, and instead, assuming he helped her, in reality the cops come and arrest her for robbing it. As for the villains, Zarkosta visits Dr. Killimov on occasions to see his progress, but since he always fails despite being upset, their encounters are usually in comedic dialogues. I wish I could explain how funny the show is, but it's just something you have to watch on your own, because if you're a fan of shows like The Tick, and brief instances from the Ninja Turtles cartoon where they break the fourth wall, you may enjoy it. This show is actually pretty good. Regardless of its simple storyline and not too much to go over, the comedic dialogues, funny interactions, and random humor that really makes up for it becomes quite fun to watch. Every episode has its own charm and keeps the show entertaining and engaging. There's not one episode that lacks or feels dull or out of place. I think the 13 episodes is just perfect for it to keep the viewer's attention at a high, demanding for more. Although its cancellation may be a bummer, at least it doesn't hit you with the fatigue of repetitiveness, but gives you more replay value if needed. Therefore, the TOXIC CRUSADERS, the animated series, gets a B+. Thanks for watching, be sure to give a like and subscribe for more SHARKTOONS, and I'll talk to you all next episode.